Actually, COVID made a lot of changes for the pig business as far as I'm concerned, because it got us moved into data further, right? The pig business is a lot like baseball. We've got data everywhere. We can tell you every little thing that's going on. We just don't use it as much as we should. And with COVID, we got pig flow. We've got several other programs that came out of that. And now what we're really working on is getting information into the hands of the barn workers, the caretakers, the managers in the barn in real time.
Welcome to Swine Canada, brought to you by Ethics. I'm Aline Ramos, dedicated to bringing you the latest insights and conversation from leaders of the swine industry. Today, we'll talk about production, technology, pig flow, barn talks, and more, exploring how innovation and leadership shape daily life in modern swine productions. Our guest is Fred Kuhr, Director of Production of Dykhuis Farms, with nearly 5 decades of experience guiding large-scale pig production systems and developing people and process. Welcome to the show, Mrs. Kuhr.
Nice to meet you, and thanks for having me on.
It's a pleasure. Fred is the director of Dykhuis Farms, as I said, and he have overseen 2 sites of farrow to finish operation with more than 17 cells in Hamilton, Michigan. His CV is very extensive, so instead of going through it, I will invite him to tell us a little bit how he got to work in swine production and a little bit his experience in the field.
Yeah, so the short version anyhow is I grew up on a small farm in the middle of Nebraska. Row crop and some pigs and some cattle. I enjoyed the livestock. I hated the row crop. So
we have that in common.
My father told me that I probably wasn't going to be able to make a living at row crop, so I should go and find another job, which was fine with me. I hated that part. So I ended up that day driving by a 500 sow farm, and we won't talk about how many years ago that was, but the 500s were just getting started. And I was riding with my mother, and I said, I'd like to work in there. My mother was really cool, so we just turned up the driveway.
That's awesome.
And said, hey, you got work for this kid? And, yeah. And I stayed. And so that's kind of the way I got into the confinements. And so then I just grew from there. So I was very fortunate to grow up in the pig industry when it was exploding in the States here. So I got to help build or help grow some very big companies, mash offs, the professional swine management in Carthage. I helped them as well. And there would have been a farm many years ago called National Hog Farms that we would have grown with as well. So now I've joined the Dykhuis Farms, 17,000 sows, and we're having some fun. We're not on the crazy growth curve, but we're raising some pigs and teaching some people.
Steady sometimes wins the race, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So, what are you currently working on in Dykhuis Farms?
Actually, COVID made a lot of changes for the pig business as far as I'm concerned, because it got us moved into data further, right? The pig business is a lot like baseball. We've got data everywhere. We can tell you every little thing that's going on. We just don't use it as much as we should. And with COVID, we got pig flow. We've got several other programs that came out of that. And now what we're really working on is getting information into the hands of the barn workers, the caretakers, the managers in the barn in real time, right? So, I mean, if we look at pre-weaning mortality from a month ago or whatever, right? It's great information, but it really doesn't help me today to make a decision on should I be doing something different with these sows today. I'm mentioning pig flow because it's the one we're using and it's an easy one for me. But we know what's going on with pre-weaning mortality, with stillborns, everything instantly. Whatever we put in there, we can get that data back right now. As far as employees, we can really help employees grow, because if I'm a caretaker and my job is to help keep stillborns down, by noon today, we can look at the numbers and have the data to see whether or not I am doing a good job or not doing a good job. And everybody wants to know if they're doing a good job or not. But if the information isn't in your hands in real time, it's hard to do.
Yeah, it's actually exactly what I do in my research line. So when you're talking about that this doesn't, like, having past data doesn't help you to make decisions, is exactly that. We work with real-time data of each one of our animals, and we tailor the diet for each one of them every day. And even like having real-time data is still difficult to take those decisions, right? But I think one thing that has changed for us a lot in our barn is how the people that work in the barn actually look at the pigs, because they start to use that data. So do the checkups based in computers and so on. So what has been changed for you, for your employees in the barns?
I think I see job satisfaction much higher. Turnover has really been reduced, right? Because again, like I said, everybody wants to do a good job, and now we can help you do a good job. We can tell what's going on right away. So the training's been, in my mind, much different because it's instant training. So we've always done training, how to do things and how to go along. But now we can do it. Hey, this morning, things didn't turn out as well. What can we do can you do this different? Tomorrow they see the difference. It gets better, hopefully. And they learn very quickly. So I truly believe job satisfaction, and job performance has sure been better. Just because we can get that information in their hands.
And how do you do the training of these new workers to adapt to this technology? Because you probably have a lot of data coming in real time. So it's not only that you're training them to do the day-to-day tasks, like it's not only boots, now it's bots too, right? You have two type of tools there in the farm. So how you're doing that training?
Probably the easiest way to explain it is because we can get that information into their hands, we get it into the manager's hands, and he's kind of the leader, right? And so he's the one that's helping that training move forward quicker, because we spend a lot of energy teaching him, her, whoever, and we're teaching them how to communicate that information downstream. Everyone in the farm has a phone, looks like a phone, but it has no phone guts in it. So that's where pig flow is hiding. So everything I do, I put in instantly. So that's why it's all instant information. There's nothing, it's as fast as I can put it in. I can look back and see what I've done and what it's doing.
And in your farm, when you're saying that you're carrying around a log, which is like a phone, or you have a program that I understand that work with pig flow, for example, and then you enter the data, how do you identify the animals? Do you work like with pens? Do you work with individuals? What is the level of information that you're including there?
All the way down to the individuals, right? So we go to pens after 35 days, and so but in that pig flow, in that program, we know what pen those animals are in. If there's any treatments done, it's done off of her individual ID. The neat thing about having, a portable little computer in your hands, right, is we pretty well have went cardless, right? So we do have a card with her, but all it's got is a barcode. So the barcode, the phone, the PigFlow phone can read the barcode. Now you don't twist numbers around, right? So the phone reads it, brings up all of her information. I can see her history. I can see everything. I know what she got treated with yesterday. I know what to treat her with today. That's what's helping so much with the training, because people can see what they're doing.
Did I get right that they have a ear tag with a barcode on it that you read?
Not yet.
Okay. It's like RFID or something like that?
We have a solid card. Everything has a number tag.
Mm-hmm.
We are starting to use some electronic tags, but so far we can't quite get that distance to read that barcode. But I do believe that day is coming that we will have that barcode on that tag. And the only card that we got with them now is just a small card that we printed the barcode on to match their tag. And there's no other information on that card. So for us, that's cardless.
It simplify. Do you find that your younger employers, they prefer to actually learn through these tools, through videos, through digital tools, or is still the hands-on training is still king? Or for what I get, I think you're doing a good mix of both, actually.
You're exactly right. The younger employees, right? They grew up with a phone, right? They grew up with all of that stuff. So having that, they go to it very, very quickly. What I was amazed with is when we switched over to this data, people actually went to this thing very fast, right? Because all the handwriting pretty well goes away, right? Where it's hard to read the numbers or the numbers get twisted around.
Or let's be honest, we're in a pharma. Things get on that paper sheet.
Yeah, maybe you can see the numbers. That's right. So it's been a lot easier, but digital. So the things that we're working on, everything that we're working on now is how fast can we get our hands on that information, and what do we do with it, right? I'm a little bit old school, right? So that if you have data and you don't do anything with it, I get frustrated. I love it. I love data, but we need to use it. It needs to help the farm. It needs to help the employee. It needs to help the owners.
Yeah, I think otherwise data is worthless, right? There is no point of putting sensors or tracking anything in your farm if you're just collecting data. I think the idea of having data is to have the power of taking decisions that in the end will be money in your pocket. Otherwise, it's just, smoke and curtains, right? So how do you see that this information sharing is evolving, and how this impact the speed of information how does the speed of information impacts production itself? How, like your day-to-day routine, does it change? It improve production?
Yes, you can improve production. I mean, and like I said, it improves. It's hard to say, okay, I did this and pre-weaning mortality is half of what it used to be, right? It doesn't quite work that way. It is the whole package. So information, not only can I get that information into the hands of the employees on the farm, I can get that information into the computer, into the office, right? So now the office can use that data faster, right? Instead of looking at how many pigs we had a month ago, because that's when we did the inventories, I can tell you how many pigs I got in the last 10 minutes on the farm, right? I can tell you all of those things. And what, again, technology is moving. It's fun for me to see that, because now we're dumping that information directly into our accounting systems, daily, when it used to come in monthly, right? So all of that stuff is happening so much faster. And to me, where we've made the big improvements is employee satisfaction. I keep going back to that because
but that's important.
When they're happy and they feel good about it, everything works better, right? We've been able to actually reduce some labor number of employees because we got a lot more organized.
You're more efficient.
Right. Where we had other people around to write cards, to do whatever that silly thing was, we don't have to do those things anymore. We used to have people in the office that were pulling data together, that would sit all day to pull all this data together. It takes a half an hour to dump 17,000 sows, all the information from yesterday. Right? So boom, it's all into PigChamps, whatever program you're using, and then into the accounting systems, right?
Right. And circulating back to that employee satisfaction, here in Canada, the data points that we rely a lot on temporary workers in our farms, right? And we have a high turnover of employees in the farm. Do you see that this type of tools, have you experienced something like that? And have you seen if this type of digital tools and like technology, what we'll probably will call precision livestock farming, have changed anything in this sense for you in your farms?
Definitely has for us, right? And what I had a boss a long time ago that I went to him and I said, "Hey, they're turning over. I said, this is driving me crazy, and what are we going to do about it?" And he said, "I want you to get it in your mind. It's going to happen. They're going to turn over. What are you going to do about it?" So we went to training very fast, and that slowed us down some years ago. But when we come along with this digital stuff, where we can get the stuff in their hands so much faster, we can train these people to do that job much faster, and we can help them do it. And the turnover just slows down because people are saying, "Hey, I'm doing a good job. I can see I'm doing a good job." Or I'm not doing a good job, and somebody comes help.
Something that we often say when we're talking about precision feeding, for instance, Candido, my farmer advisor, he always said that precision livestock farming is also a way to keep the young generations in the farm, because now you have something that match their skills, right? As you said, they grow up with phones, computers, and everything. So now the job in the barn is more, it's closer to what they're used. They're using technology. They're getting things in real time. They're being efficient. Do you see if this type of technologies are helping on weekends and vacations?
Absolutely. And we have, it used to be that, weekends, everybody just kind of cried because somebody's going to be missing, right? It's going to be short, it's going to be long. That all, for us, knock on wood, for us has virtually went away, right? People, again, I keep going back to job satisfaction, right? They're comfortable with coming in. They're knowing what they're doing, and they seem to be happier with the job. Our weekend absenteeism has slowed down tremendously. Like I said before, right? You can't really put your finger on all the things that it's doing, because you have to look at the whole package.
For me, it's unbelievable, because we usually say that automation does that, but it's rare to see, because it's still so new, right? As you say, since 2020, things really picked up. So now we start to see big farms like yours, and you say, okay, that's real. This is happening. And I think from our side in academia, we have to play that role in what you're saying, what we do with this data, how we can actually put this to work for the producers, how we make this to be return on investment. And I think we have a lot of work to do on that. But I want to hear from you if there is anything on those programs, because so far you told me all the amazing things, but when normally I present some of myself, they say, wow, these alerts, it's like each program is like so many alerts that I don't even have time to follow my pigs. How do you want me to follow those alerts? There is anything in that sense that you want to maybe send a message out there for people developing this type of technology that needs to be improved or needs to be simplified, or something that actually you see that works for your employees?
Probably the thing to make sure everybody's working on is that we stay basic, right? That we don't try to get so fancy that people get all of those alerts and all of these things going on and not understanding them. They have to have knowledge behind them, and then we as leaders have to figure out the alerts, right? And I'm using your words there, but we have to get ahead of that. But the programs have to be efficient enough to be able to grab that information and give it to us in a usable form, not just alerts, right? I have seen some of those programs that have done nothing but that. Hey, I'm going to tell you something's wrong. I'm not going to tell you what it is, and you'll just go figure it out. Well, they don't stay in our system very long because somewhat unusable for us.
And something that we always talking about, at least in our field, is like many of these alerts are developed for the average of the population, and then you have their 40,000, 140,000. Of course, they're going to deviate from the average. They're completely different one from another. So, as you say, you have to create first like individualized thing. You have to understand that one soil is completely different from another, and the alert has to be for that soil. And as you say, what is that is wrong? Just tell me, right? Don't make me guess. If it was to guess, I could just walk through the barn and guess, right? This is even not an educated guess then, So following on that, how does these platforms go from the office to the field? How do you make this to be reality?
When we think about whatever program we have in the farm, right? So we have to be Wi-Fi, right? So that it has to have communication. So all of our barns have Wi-Fi all the way through them. We have internet all the way through them, so it's communicating. And it's actually not as complicated as you think it is, but you really know when the tool is working. Shut the Wi-Fi off. For us, it will take less than 5 minutes before I get a phone call saying, there's no Wi-Fi. We got to fix this. I need these things to run, right? And so you learn real quick what tools are working and what aren't, right? If you shut the Wi-Fi off and 2 days later they call you and say, this thing ain't working right, you probably have the wrong program.
Right. If they don't notice fast enough, means that it's not right for what you're doing. And you have led production growth at multiple large systems. Do you approach new projects differently now than you did 20 years ago?
Yes. Probably a lot more open-minded today than I was 20, 30 years ago. But because then, some of these things were tried 20, 30 years ago, but they were not user-friendly. And it wasn't their fault. It was just the way things were then. And we shied away from them very quickly, because it just didn't work well. So Today, I'd like to think I'm a lot more open-minded because I see things working much faster, much better. We here at Dykhuis, we get to do some things with the university on a couple of different universities. I have some friends that are in those universities that I know, and so I see some of the technology and the projects that are coming down the line. I think they're going to be fantastic, right? We're going to see cameras that are reading sow's body condition and telling the feed system what to feed that sow, right? Those things are coming.
You have been nearly 50 years in this industry. What keeps the spark alive?
Yeah, I like to see people grow. I like to see them move into new positions, right? When I look across the industry here in the States, I know a lot of people that are moved up long ways into some of these other big companies that I had the privilege of working beside. And I enjoy that.
It's amazing to see the influence that you have over people's life. And I think cultivating those relationships for sure is the beauty in, I think, probably any profession, right?
It's time for our famous three.
Looking to boost the productivity and health of your swine herd? High D is the original pure source of 25-hydroxy-D3, proven in over 100 research trials and fed to millions of pigs each year in North America. High D improves bone strength, immune health, and enhances overall performance. Whether you want to improve sow longevity, get heavier nursery pigs, or help your grow-finish pigs thrive, trust the original, proven 25-hydroxy-D3 High D. Learn more at dsm-firmenich.com/hy-d.
So we are approaching the end of our podcast. If you at home have questions, you can leave in the comments. We can invite Fred to be back with us to ask maybe more questions to him in a different podcast. Leave your comments for us. We'll like that. Give us a like. And we'll walk through the traditional 3 final questions of the podcast. And Fred, what are your favorite swine-related book or resource or magazine? There is anything that is your go-to to keep informed in swine production?
Probably sounds a little bad, but I love podcasts, right? You know, I mean, that was another thing that COVID really pushed along, that we got to, because we couldn't go to the conferences. I actually get more information now than I did when we were visiting conferences, because I can have access to more things.
You have everyone on your pocket.
Yeah, I get a lot of information from the universities, right? So I have resources in those, and so that's been really good as well. And I have a lot of friends in the swine industry, so if something good comes along, we end up talking about it one way or another.
Absolutely. It's a big but a small world.
Yeah, it's a very small world.
And what is your favorite book or resource or movie outside agriculture?
My book would be Who Took My Cheese? It's a very small book. It's an easy read. But you know, to me, it kind of helps you think about, so our world is changing so fast, right? So what we used to think was the best thing is gone. Now it's something new, right? And it's changing so fast. So don't get set in your ways, because somebody's going to take that cheese away. You need to find a different cheese. And so fast pace.
That's very interesting and gives a good insight of how you adapt so quickly to changes in the field.
Movie would be the one I really love. It's a movie called Moneyball. It's about a baseball team that didn't have any money, and so it's worth looking up. It tells you what can be done getting the right person in the right seat on the bus, right? and they didn't have to be the superstar. They just had to be in the right spot, and they could, they did really great with that. So I enjoyed that movie.
And our final question is, in your opinion, what sets a successful professional apart of those that are not?
Listening and learning people, right? So no one comes to work to do a bad job. If they want to do a bad job, they don't come to work, right? I mean, it's as simple as it is. So if they're not doing a good job, then it's our job as leaders to spend some time with them, learn where we dropped the ball, we didn't train them correctly, or we absolutely have them in the wrong spot, right? I have I've seen people that, and I'll use the sow business because it's easy for me, but I've had people in the ferret house that just couldn't do a very good job. And you move them to breeding, and holy cow, they smile every day and they do a fantastic job. So it's where they fit.
That's very insightful. I appreciate you sharing that. I think it's amazing how you're right. As leaders, we have to take accountability, and it's amazing. Thank you. Fred, thank you so much for giving your time to us, to talking to us. I truly enjoyed learning from you today. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
And that concludes another episode of the Swine Canada presented by Wise Genetics. Thank you for joining us today. Do not forget to subscribe to our podcast to stay updated on future episodes. If you enjoyed today's discussion, please leave us a review. Your feedback is very important to us. Until next time, this is Aline Remus signing off.